All right, Tuesday Krug Show. We're off and running. Niners are banged up. They got the Falcons up next on Sunday Night Football. We'll talk about that. Sam Betesh is in the house. We always take a look at the whole league. We'll look at the power rankings. Where do the Niners stand after week 6? Where do the contenders stand? We'll take a look at all the contenders in the NFL. It's the Krug Show. Don't miss it. It begins 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, now. All right, off and running on the Krug Show on a Tuesday. Hope everybody's having a great one. Little dual stream today. Sam Betesh in the house on a Tuesday. We're fired up, and we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out, and they do run out. So get there early. Get some brisket chili. Tell them Krug sent you. Also, 49er football season, all season long, is presented by Sleeper. You see them top of over Sammy's head there. The fastest growing fantasy platform in the world. It's a one-stop shop. You get blazing fast news, real-time stats, group chat, season-long leagues, and, of course, Sleeper picks for daily fantasy. And we've been killing it on the picks. So use promo code Larry. Sleeper will match your first deposit up to $100. So they're giving you that first 100. Links in the description. Terms and conditions do apply. Thanks to Sleeper for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. And we also want to thank Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles. They've been with us for a long time. 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove, California, on the Monterey Peninsula. Anthony Catania is at 831-521-5264. And also thanks to Claudaddy Arcades. We love Claudaddy. He sent us to New Orleans. He's a great follow on Instagram at Claw_Daddy_Arcades to find a location near you. Sammy, good to see you, man. How are you?
Larry, I'm doing great in a new bunker today. I don't have all the cool Eagles and Shohei gear behind me. I am, by the way, and last time, for those that caught us on KMBR not so long ago, we had mentioned ESPN LA. That's where I am. I'm actually at the home station, ESPN LA. This is where I am. I'm the LA Kings hockey insider around here. I'm the host of LA Kings Talk after every Kings game. I'm even the director of marketing here, ESPN LA. This is the new home, right across the street from Crypto, by the way, Larry. So That's nice. Remember when we used to walk to Pac Bell Park from KMBR, right? I mean, that was a nice. So I kind of have that going on now, which is pretty sweet.
Well, I'm fired up to have you here. We're going to talk a little bit about the entire league and how it pertains to the Niners. And I think everybody, after watching the 49ers lose Fred Warner, it was a depressing Monday. Just because, the Niners lost a great player. I mean, beyond this year, they've lost a great player, and they've lost a great player who's in the twilight of his prime. So, when he comes back, is he going to still be the same player? He might be, he might not be. Same thing you could say for Nick Bosa. So the Niners are very much a franchise, it seems like, at the crossroads. And they can play their hand a lot of different ways. On one hand, they're 4-2, and they've got one of the better records in the conference. And on the other hand, Bosa and Warner are their two best defensive players, and they're done for the year. And a lot of people were saying, hey, I still believe in the Niners. I think they can have a good year. But, the Super Bowl is out now with no Bosa, no Warner. I would just say you really can't say any of that because you just don't know what the other teams are going to suffer as far as injuries. And who knows? I mean, anything can happen in the playoffs if you get there. How well does Tatum Bethune play for Fred Warner? Do the Niners trade for any more pass rush up front? They haven't had much of a pass rush the last couple of games without Nick Bosa. 2 sacks in the last 2 games with no Nick Bosa. So where do the Niners actually sit? And it's, being debated. Everybody does their power rankings on a Monday. And
Larry, before we jump into the exact rankings, I just want to remind everyone, here's what happens. The NFL is so beautiful because of this, that every week gives us an opportunity to say this team is now going to the Super Bowl and this team is no longer going to the Super Bowl. And that's what we do. We're a part of that machine. We are a part of the machine that the NFL, because the games matter so much and because there are so few in comparison to baseball and even the NHL and the NBA, that we want to give that kind of a crowning achievement behind every single game. But there are certain games that can be a measuring stick and we'll get into this, Tampa is really one of those. I do want to say that Tampa circled on the schedule is a really interesting place to be, but I also want to remind everyone that 4-2 puts you squarely wherever you want to be for this season. You are massively in contention for the 1 seed in the conference. You are absolutely still in the driver's seat for the division with the tiebreaker against the Rams. And the sky is falling really comes more from the injury than from the record, I would imagine. The losses on paper for who the losses are to are completely acceptable. And I want to remind everybody that an AFC loss, this has always been my theory, Larry. I remember 2 seasons ago when the Eagles season unraveled after they beat Buffalo in overtime, and everyone was so excited. They beat Josh Allen in overtime, and I said, that game's irrelevant. They should have rested everybody. The next 2 games were the game where Debo slaughtered them in the regular season rematch of that NFC Championship game. They got blown out by the Niners the next week. They got blown out by the Cowboys the week after that, and their season never got back on track. AFC losses are totally irrelevant. So that Jaguars loss is nothing at all to me, other than the idea that Mac could have played instead of Brock, and I'm still a little bit upset about that. The Tampa game is a good measuring stick. So now I want to hear where the Niners stand from a national platform standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, and it's, it's a week-to-week league, Today, everybody's singing the praises of the Atlanta Falcons.
Sure, yeah.
The Atlanta Falcons lost to the Carolina Panthers 30-0.
Nothing. Nothing.
But today, they beat the Buffalo Bills yesterday, and they're on top of the world. So we're in a knee-jerk world. We're in an instant reaction society. We're in and everybody, wants to just say, oh, it's over. It's over. But it's not over. And there's a lot of football left to be played. Does it hurt the 49ers' chances? Sure. Any loss for any team hurts their chances. And when you lose a great player like Fred Warner, it hurts your chances. There's no question about that. So I wanted to see what does the rest of the country think about the 49ers, right? So I decided to look around at some of the different power rankings and see exactly where people have them listed and see what people are saying. And I stumbled on this. This is Fox.
Okay. That's good.
Drew Brees on Fox.
Love it.
Giving his top 5 teams after week 6.
After week 6. Okay, so after Monday night even, right?
Yep,
so this takes into account that Washington, Chicago, Buffalo, Atlanta. Okay.
This is fresh. Stephen A., and he's doing it with Stephen A.
Oh,
Smith.
Nice. Okay.
Just for nobody cares, but Stephen A. says Bucks, Colts, Chiefs, Steelers, Patriots. That's definitely putting the Steelers way high. I mean, that's such a northeast. That right there is so northeast. That's a northeast centric take. We have to have the Steelers and the Patriots. The Steelers.
First of all, the Patriots is just that they are not in the conversation. And I love this. I'm glad we mentioned them, because I will say the beauty of seeing the Patriots on top of the AFC East, which we might not be able to say the rest of the season, but the beauty of this moment handing us that story, Larry, I'll say it's even more than adorable. I mean, it is adorable because we haven't seen them there in so long, and the fact that it's not Brady's face that they get to be the champs potentially of the East for 1 week. But would anybody put money right now on the Patriots winning that division? Does anybody feel confident about that? No. I promise you nobody thinks that. That is, and here's the thing. Rankings by the week, if you say maybe if you wanted to say for the week, but rankings usually mean these are the best teams in football right now. That list is wildly off base. Wildly, Larry. I mean, there's nothing to that. And even the Colts, we've talked a lot about the Colts, and the Colts, who played a great game but lost to the Rams. Last second, amazing 80-yard touchdown pass to Tutu Atwell from Stafford. But there's nothing to the idea that the Colts are in this conversation. Truly is one of the best. And I get it. You look at the standings, and it's hard to walk past the team that's only got 1 loss and say maybe they're not going to be in it at the end. But I don't see it that way at all. This list Chiefs, I'm glad the Chiefs are there. And we all go through the error of recency, as we like to call it, Larry. That's what happens. The error of recency. You take the most recent thing you've seen, and now that clouds what you've seen over the course of 6 weeks. So sure, if I take what I saw in week 6, by far the Chiefs' best rendition of who they could be. This looks like a team that could end up back in the AFC Championship when I look at what happened against Detroit. It also depends on what you think of Detroit. Now, the fact that Detroit's not on that top 5, That's irresponsible. Not having Detroit in the top 5 is just simply irresponsible.
I mean, and then, whatever. I mean, Stephen A. I mean, it's it is what it is. He's I don't take him seriously. I don't think of him as a serious NFL guy. I don't think of him as a serious sports guy, to be completely honest. I think he's a guy who's desperate to be a political columnist.
He's going to be. And I respect his career. And frankly, I respect his career. He's had an amazing career arc, Larry. And I got a chance to work with him. And he's really a tremendous dude, an incredibly hard worker. And I really commend everything that he's built up. But yes, at this point, he's really smart because he knows that what he says can catch fire. And I think he knows how to light that match.
Yeah. I just think, he wasn't that respected in the non-NBA sports world, and he's even less respected in the political arena, where nobody knows where he's coming from, what side he's on, who he's rooting for, including himself. All right, enough of Stephen A. Let's get to Drew Brees.
Yeah, let's do it.
Here we go. Here's what Brees said as far as his breakdown. Listen to this. Do you not hear it?
No, and I think that maybe there's a share audio piece of this.
Hold on a second.
Which I know we can do.
I think I.
You may just even
wait a second. Now I got a button I got to hit here. Hold on.
I am interested because Brees has said some pretty wild things. Brees said he thought the Eagles' offense was predictable and boring. I'm sorry, he used the word boring, which. Now you could certainly say that proved to be true.
I think we're in the right spot now. Let's see. Let's try it now. Let's see. Let's try this again. One more time.
There we go, Breezy.
Little technical difficulties.
Right.
Here we go.
My parents named their dog after Drew Brees, by the way. My parents met at LSU, and my mom's from New Orleans. So
here we go. Let's try
dogs, Brees.
No, still not. Wait, hold on a second.
I think there was in the share
hold
function.
On a second.
On your overall settings, Larry.
Yeah. It's in the mic mode. No. What is it? Sound display.
It's part of the share functionality. Or share with sound, I believe, is what we have to choose.
No, I've got this one on. No, that's not it. Well, I'm sure. Yeah, I thought this is it, but maybe not.
In the meantime, even if you let it play, I think are they going to reveal his 5? That would be if we could see it.
Yeah. God.
It's all right. The fact
the technical snafus. Every time I unplug my computer, I've got to reattach. Is it the Bluetooth? No. Is it the sound? No.
Let's go here.
What is it?
So he's got.
Hold on. I can give it to you. I just want to see if I can. Is it Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, video effects? No. Mic mode. I don't know.
Breeze has. All right. So it looks like.
All right. Now here we go. We'll just play it.
And then we'll see it.
You can't see it. But basically, Drew Brees got his top 5. I'll give it to you. I don't know why. I'll stop playing. We don't need to play a video we can't hear. All right. I'm probably the least technical savvy person on the
Guess what? Planet. Not true, Larry, because we're actually live on YouTube, which is impressive in and of itself, and you're live on YouTube quite often.
I know,
for most people. It's not.
That's ridiculous.
That's not simple at all.
Kev has shown me this one thing that I've got to do every single time to the computer when I switch the computer from one to another, and I never had this with the old computer, and now I got this with the new computer, and it's a fucking pain in the ass.
It always is. You know what?
All right, so here's what Drew Brees.
So
Drew Brees has let's see, do I have it here? Yeah, here it is. He's got the Bucks 1,
okay,
the Colts 2, the 49ers 3.
Wow, that's bold.
the Lions 4 and the Patriots 5.
All right.
He's got the Niners 3.
Do you want to take this from a Niners standpoint first? I mean, the idea that the Niners are third, I think, is really interesting based on the game we just saw. If the Bucs are 1, I can see how you could place that.
And then when he came time for him to talk about it, he's like, well, I really like Mac Jones. Really like what I'm seeing with Mac Jones. Really like what the Niners look like with Mac Jones. So he had the Niners as at 3, which I thought was like, what? You got to
if you're gonna
I'm I wouldn't put the Niners at 3. But
you'd have to. Okay, so if you have the Niners at 3. You don't have the Rams in the top 5 because that would be something that would raise the bar, right? That Rams win would be clearly the best win of the season. I called the Rams win. Remember this, Larry. I called the Rams win the best win since beating Detroit in the NFC Championship. Rams is the biggest win the Niners have had since that win that day, coming back at half against the Lions in an NFC Championship at home.
Breeze is not alone, by the way, Sammy. Look at this. This is the sporting news. Has their power rankings. Green Bay 1, Tampa Bay 2, Niners 3. What are they watching?
Yeah, by the way, I'm more on board. See, here's the thing. I'm more on board with this. And again, what I like about this, I do think the NFC has stronger teams right now. I want to get one thing out of the way. First of all, this season reminds me a little bit of the year that the Saints and the Colts, I believe they both went 10-0 out of the chute. They were the best team, and then they sort of sputtered a little bit at the end of the season, and they ended up in the Super Bowl against each other. This was Breeze's Super Bowl, actually, the Breeze one where Tracy Porter picks off Peyton Manning at the end of the game, and it turns a one-possession game into the Super Bowl looked like they beat them by 14, but the reality is they were up 7 with Peyton driving at the end, and it was a pick 6 to end it. That Super Bowl pitted those two teams, and that was a Caldwell, not a Dungy Colts team, but that was Sean Payton and those Bountygate Saints, actually. But that Saints Colts, what I mean is they were the best two teams all season. It was clear. It was clear they were the best teams all season from each conference. And right now, I'm still most comfortable saying this. The Eagles and the Bills are the two best teams in the league. I still think if you were putting money on it.
What do you want to use as a barometer?
I think you could even go with opponents at this point. I still think the Ravens were the real Ravens week 1. And that win that we saw with the Bills coming all the way back in that game is one of the most impressive victories of the season. And the Eagles have beaten, first of all, if the Bucs are this high, what's the Bucs only lost this season? Eagles. And the Eagles have also beaten the Chiefs as well. The Eagles have wins over the Rams, the Chiefs, and the Buccaneers. I don't know about anything more impressive than that. They lost an AFC game. I already told you how I feel about that. The Broncos loss is irrelevant largely in the conversation about where the Eagles are going to end up. The Giants game is ugly. The Giants' loss for the Eagles is, again, without Jalen Carter, their best defensive player. They lost their second best defensive player, Quinyon Mitchell, in the first quarter of that game. And they lost their second best offensive lineman for the entire second half in Landon Dickerson. So that's a game where I'm willing to at least say it would have been more competitive and they wouldn't have been throwing the ball as often. Do they need to figure out the run game? Yes. They were also 2-2 last season at the bye week, figured everything out on their way to steamrolling all the way through the Super Bowl, blowing out Kansas City in that game. Is that going to happen again? No. Are they going to be competitive all season? Yes. The metric would almost be from a college football standpoint, Larry, where you take opponents and say, all right, beating this team means that. Tampa was a worthy opponent, undefeated, when the two teams matched up against each other. And Tampa is again at that strong point after beating the Niners, and their only loss of the season is the Eagles. And the Eagles blew them out in the first half and held them off. And Baker's been able to come back against everybody this season, but not the Eagles.
I mean, Tampa, if you said, first of all, everybody's played a different schedule.
Yeah.
Some teams are playing a first place schedule. Some teams are playing a last place schedule. Some teams have had an early bye. Some teams don't have a bye for 2 months. Some teams have had a ton of injuries. Some teams have had key injuries. Other teams have had, minor injuries. Some teams have had mass injuries, but not key injury. I mean, there's a million different ways to break all of this stuff down. I think the argument for Tampa is that look at their offense as far as they have Mike Evans, they have Chris Godwin, they have Emeka Egbuka, Cade Otton, Bucky Irving, Baker Mayfield, and they've got a pretty good offensive line, but their offensive line's decimated. All their receivers are hurt. Their defense is lost Kalijah Cansey. But I think people look at them and say, well, wait a second. If they can score points and they just put 30 up on the Niners, and they've got Todd Bowles kind of running their defense.
Yeah, defensively they're impressive. And so you got to say it, Larry. They just beat the Niners without Buka, Evans, and Godwin, and Irving. I mean, that's
the Niners can't
wild.
run. The Niners have problems that go beyond Tampa. So it's like, so how much of that was a really good performance from Tampa? I don't think Tampa looked all that good, to be honest. Egbuka dropped 3 passes. They had mistakes. They had all kinds of issues that went on in that game. Just the Niners were worse. The Niners came apart at the seams, couldn't run it, no balance, turned it over, terrible on special teams. I mean, it added up. But so you got Tampa, then you got Detroit, right? You got Detroit. Detroit's a really, an interesting team with a good defense.
Coming off of a performance that none of us appreciate. And you can say it's the Chiefs, but we're only saying it's the Chiefs because of beating the Lions, right? The Chiefs were not setting that bar this season. Certainly not for anybody. They've had that loss to the Jaguars, took the Chiefs right off the pedestal.
Well, Chiefs are kind of like the Eagles and the Niners. I mean, they're having offensive line issues. I mean, they signed Jalen Moore in free agency. They drafted Josh Simmons. They took their first round pick, their tackle from BYU, Kingsley Sumateia, whatever. They moved him to left guard to replace Joe Tooney. Who they traded to the Bears. And now these guys are starting to play well. So
and they're getting Rice back. Yeah, they're getting Rashee Rice back. This could be the time that they're figuring it out. If Worthy can remain healthy and they get Rice back, this is a team. Us saying that the Chiefs are going to be a team to deal with is not really going out on a limb, but the fact that they're not showing up.
Line wise, I mean, look at the Eagles are 4-2 and don't look good. Why? Because their offensive line's not good right now.
Right now, it's not.
Barkley's got no room to run. And their defense has lost a bunch of players, and they're playing a tough schedule. And so they're playing good teams every week. And their line, they lost Landon Dickerson to an injury for a while. I mean, they've had some injuries on the offensive line. Their offensive line has kind of regressed.
And remember, Mekhi Becton is now in Los Angeles. He's a Charger. Mekhi Becton was a large part of their resurrection last season, and he was a resurrection project himself. But what Jeff Stoutland, their offensive line coach, was able to do with Becton their run game has not looked the same. And I've heard people say that Cam Jurgens is not doing as much as the center, and he was spectacular last season. I think Dickerson, that injury could be worse. And also remember, for large stretches, Larry, they played without Lane Johnson. We all know Lane Johnson's their best offensive lineman. He was injured for a game and a half. So, but every team's going to go through that. No one's going to feel sorry for you. And if we're talking Niners, obviously injuries are a huge part of it. The Eagles look like a team that's going to figure it out and has looked against excellent opponents that they are at that level. And I would say the same for the Bills. The Bills to stumble against Atlanta and a divisional loss, neither of those, again, you're talking about same as the Eagles, right? The Bills have an out-of-conference sort of inexcusable loss. So do the Eagles. And then they have an in-division loss that is surprising. Both of those teams have the exact thing going on. And over the course of 17 games, aren't you going to have that? Isn't that going to happen? Of course. You're going to lose games. You're going to lose a couple games that you didn't expect. You're going to win a couple injured in Los Angeles that you weren't expecting to win. That's going to happen throughout a season. Right now, if I had to project, I guess that's what it comes down to, Larry, from a power ranking standpoint. Do I want to project who I think is going to be there at the end, or do I want to say right now who is elite? I think the teams they're going to prove to be elite.
It's all about projecting. It's not.
So let's project.
You don't win anything in week 6.
Exactly. So if you're going to project, where do you feel comfortable putting money right now? If I gave you Bills and
I don't like
Eagles.
The Bills. I don't like the Bills
or
the Eagles. I think the Bills and the Eagles are that's yesterday's news. Bills
Interesting.
Don't have any weapons, and the Bills don't have a good enough defense. And that's been the story for multiple years. And we saw it again last night. They don't have good enough weapons. Their weapons are totally pedestrian. None of their weapons. Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir,
Kincaid,
James Cook,
sure,
Kincaid, Dallas Knox. These are not the best weapons in football.
Yeah, Dawson Knox. Yeah, you're right.
These are just guys. They just have guys, and their defense used to be more physical. It's not as physical as it used to be. I think the Bills are, they're in the mix and nothing more. They're not going to climb to the top this year. I don't see it. Eagles are, Philadelphia is a hard town to wear the championship in because there's so much attention and there's so much focus, and no Philly teams go back to back ever in any sport hardly, because it's just there's so much there's so much media, there's so much angst, there's so much.
Yeah. Flyers 74-75. That might be the last one, Larry.
I mean, they don't
74-75.
typically
Wow.
they don't do it. I mean, typically they we saw what happened when the Eagles won the Super Bowl last year or last time. They fell apart.
Well,
and
they actually Foles brought them back. They got to the divisional and lost to the Saints that season after winning the Super Bowl. So we'll see. This will be interesting. They won on the double doink. Remember that? That was the Cody Parkey double doink in Chicago when Mitch Trubisky should have won a playoff game.
Yeah, but I just think the Eagles got off to a good start. They look great, and now they're starting to settle into the year, and it's a difficult thing to play that first place schedule. It's literally ankle weights. It weighs you down. So I mean, you look at all these teams. Tampa's super banged up, but they've got some makings of a dominant offense and a really good defense, so they're not going to have Kalaisha Cansey the rest of the year. Detroit's got Aiden Hutchinson back from that terrible injury he had last year, and he looks just as good as ever. But they're also, have no backup quarterback, and you kind of wonder about their ability to protect Goff. I just told you what I think about Buffalo. The Colts are an amazing story because Daniel Jones is I don't know. I mean, is he real or not? I mean, it's amazing. He leads the NFL in QBR. He's third in completion percentage. He's versatile. He's been good. I mean, he's really been good. He's
the Colts
four rushing touchdowns. I mean, he's good.
The Colts is going to be a real lesson for all of us in overlooking something that we haven't seen before, right? The Colts could get the 1 seed. That's what's amazing, right? I mean, the Colts don't even have a conference loss right now. The Colts are in the driver's seat for the 1 seed in the AFC. Now, that could change the conversation considerably. Isn't that the difference? I mean, to me, if the Colts win the one, what I think about where the Colts could end up comes down to that right there. If they're the 1 seed, I can actually attach the word Super Bowl to Daniel Jones. If they're not the 1 seed, I'm going to give it to a more pedigreed team. If Buffalo or Kansas City is that 1 seed, that's going to have to be it. I would put my faith in that.
I don't believe in the Colts, but they do have a nice mix going right now where they've got some good things going on offense with Daniel Jones.
They've had triplets for a little while.
Right. But they also have Lou Anarumo, who left Cincinnati, who came to Indianapolis, and now their defense is playing better. I mean, they did give up 27 this weekend to the Cardinals, but
yeah, that got interesting for no reason.
Their defense has gotten better. I look at it this way. What are you offensively? What are you defensively? All of this stuff, the injuries and all this stuff, I'm not saying it all shakes out in the wash because it doesn't. It doesn't all even out. The Niners have lost 2 Hall of Fame type players. It's not going to even out between now and the end of the year. So that's a major devastating blow. But for the most part, I look at what are you offensively? What are you defensively? And the teams that have that are viable on both sides of the ball are contenders.
So I want to say one thing. Detroit got the 1 seed last year, despite losing Aiden Hutchinson. And the Niners are in that conversation right now. The Niners could, based on their schedule, remember this, the Niners, every time we have a conversation about the Niners, we have to remind everyone to go look at the schedule and understand that the last place schedule the Niners have, their toughest game of the season is going to be their second game against the Rams. That's it. That's the Niners' most difficult game this season. It's going to be, again, that second game against the Rams, especially considering they already beat them in LA. So that hosted game against the Rams.
Houston game looks tough. I mean, that game's going to be, Houston's defense is coming alive.
Houston's got no identity offensively.
Yeah, but that's a tough defense to play and a tough surface.
Sure.
I mean, I think
so. Fine. If that would be another AFC loss. And like I said, I'm talking about sort of ranking and slotting for the 1 seed. I see the Niners as a team that could overcome an injury the way the Lions did to wrap up a 1 seed. That could happen for the Niners. And in that case, anything is possible. They're playing one less game than everybody. And we saw Detroit lost that first playoff game, the divisional against Washington. That could also happen. Detroit in the end was not able to sustain that injury. That injury and a few others, they could not sustain it. And frankly, the Niners could end up in that spot despite surviving the regular season. Niners offensively, let's look at this. Let's pretend for a moment that we're both okay with saying the Niners are the 3rd best team in football, which we've seen on a couple of now national prognostications that the Niners are the 3rd best team. If that's the case, what do you love about the Niners offensively, Larry? We understand the defense has got major injuries. I would say what I love most is that Kittle isn't here right now and will be. That's what I love most, is the idea that they've actually done a few things on offense that I like, and Kittle's not even here.
What do I love about the Niners on offense? I mean, nothing. I don't love anything about the Niners on offense. They can't run the ball. They have no offensive balance. They're throwing it 40 times a game.
Ugh.
Their offensive line sucks. Their quarterbacks are getting pummeled. Mac Jones has taken 20 hits the last 2 weeks. Brock Purdy's already out, hurt with a turf toe. So, yeah, I don't like anything about the Niners. I don't like anything about the Niners. They don't run the ball. Their receivers are old. What do you got? They're either the receivers are old or soft. Jacob Cowing, what would you say you do here? Ricky Pearsall, where the fuck are you?
Jennings hurt.
Jennings is a
hurt.
diva. Ayuk's a diva. Those guys need to be moved on. I don't like anything. I like Mac Jones and Kyle Shanahan. That's it.
But again, you could put faith in those two things. And also when you say Mac Jones, you could, if you're patient this time, unlike that Jacksonville game, if you're patient this time, you could have a healthy Brock Purdy in 3 weeks. If you just chill out and let it happen and let it heal and understand that Mac Jones he is giving you an opportunity to win, and it's not going to last all season, but it could last another 2 to 3 games. And that's
the Niners are the only team in their division that has a negative point differential.
That usually catches up. That usually catches up. Chiefs were on that list last season, and it caught up in the Super Bowl, but they got to the Super Bowl. So it can catch up. Caught up to the Vikings 2 seasons ago. They ended up back then they were awarding 2 byes. It was still the 1 and the 2, and they were the 2 seed and got beat by Daniel Jones. That was a season in which they had won every close 1-possession game, and then in the playoffs didn't carry over. So that could happen. I do think
it's wide open in the NFC. It's just wide open.
And by the way, what's Tampa's point differential? That can't be good either. Tampa's
plus 14.
Okay, exactly. Tampa's squeezed. If you took away the last 90 seconds of every Tampa game, they'd be 2-4.
If I gave you $100 bill and said bet one NFC team to go to the Super Bowl, who are you going to put it on?
You can call me biased, but I really think if I was putting money to it right now, I mean, I'd put, if you really ask me what to do, I'd like to split $100 bill in half and put it on Detroit and Philly. That's still where I'm most confident. Still most confident in Detroit and Philadelphia.
See, I don't think Philly, as I said, I don't think Philly can go back to back. I think, the adversity that they suffered will continue to come. I think Washington showed last night they can't beat the Bears at home.
Yeah,
so Washington is not the same team that they were a year ago. They don't look good. By the way, the Washington Commanders today picked up Drake Jackson. Wow, that surprised me. So that tells you Adam Peters was the Drake Jackson whisperer back in the day when the Niners used the second-round pick on him. But that surprised me because Drake Jackson hasn't played at all. When he did play, he didn't get a lot done. I thought that was surprising. So the Commanders are somewhat desperate. I read that as a desperation move.
That's a John Lynch phone call, right? That's Lynch that called and said, you guys must not be happy after last night. I feel like that's a Lynch call. Well, I feel like that call went that way, not the other. Really.
He wasn't a Niner. He was on the street.
Yeah, true. But still, I mean, that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. All I'm saying is I don't believe in Philly. I don't believe in Washington. Green Bay looks pretty good on paper, but they get leads and then they shut it down. And they don't look like they can't finish. If you watched any of the second half of their games, they almost get run over in the second half. Almost
it would have been. By the way, how amazing would it have been? Now I understand it got close. It got interesting. Flacco made it interesting with Cincinnati. Could you imagine if Flacco? He would be, I believe, the first quarterback in NFL history to win 2 out-of-conference games against the same opponent in the regular season. Because he did it with the Browns, and then he gets traded, and then he gets to play the Packers again with Cincinnati.
By the way, everybody, Mike Tomlin's like really ripping, the Browns for trading Flacco to the Bengals. Hey, bro, why don't you worry about your own team?
Yes.
Don't worry about anybody else's team. Stop pocket watching everybody, Tomlin. Jesus.
No.
What do you care? Yeah, it's your division, but you're now so now you've got some unwritten rule that you can't do this. You do whatever you want to do to make your team better in whatever time frame you want them to be better in.
And at this point, isn't it good news?
Mike Tomlin, hey, bro, if I were you, I would pipe down and worry about keeping your gig because Pittsburgh's having a nice little start, but they are the team that is going to absolutely dive and sink like a stone. If you look at their schedule in the second half, their second half schedule is brutal. The Steelers are going to go from 4-1 to circling the drain. And right now, Mike Tomlin's on top of the world talking shit to everybody. And guess what's going to happen? They're going to lose their ass. They're going to lose their ass. And he's going to be on the hot seat at the end of the year. Mark it down.
They lost 5 games in a row to end their season last year. 5.
It's going to happen again. Go look at their schedule. I'll look at it right now. Steelers' schedule is brutal after a certain point. I was looking at it earlier this year.
He should welcome Flacco to be in the division more now, which is what he gets to face Flacco even more with him.
Listen
going
to the schedule they have. They play division, of course, at Cincy, but then they play Green Bay, tough game, Indianapolis, tough game, Chargers, tough game. Then they play Cincinnati, that's a division game, at Chicago, which Chicago's defense is pretty good, and Chicago's a young team. They're getting better, and they're good in their place. Then they play Buffalo. Then they get Baltimore. Then they get Miami, Detroit, Cleveland, and Baltimore to finish. But I mean, that's, and the division, Baltimore doesn't look as daunting. And then 2 of those games were against Baltimore. So,
okay, but wait a second.
Those are always tough games.
Guess what?
Baltimore, is going to play Pittsburgh tough.
And again, Baltimore right now, okay, you're having a Cooper Rush, Tyler Huntley conversation. But if you're having a Lamar Jackson conversation, those games are, by the way, that ended their season. Lamar Jackson smashed their season. He beat him in the second matchup against the Steelers. Lamar Jackson was fantastic, and then beat them in the playoffs as well. So the Steelers got 1 on Baltimore, and then Baltimore came back and beat them twice to finish the season. So that's going to be incredibly tough, and Tomlin knows that. The Pittsburgh, no one feels confident putting up money on Pittsburgh right now to represent the conference. I can't imagine that anyone thinks right now that's a team that can beat Buffalo, Indy, KC. No way.
So if you're a 49er fan and you're sitting here in mid-October going, man, the season looks bad. I agree. It doesn't look good. But once again, look at these teams in the NFC. There's no Philly, Washington, Green Bay, Detroit. I think Detroit probably looks the best, but they're 4-2. They've already lost twice. Tampa is 5-1, but they're a mash unit. And heck, the 49ers, without Warner, without Bosa, without Purdy, without Kittle, without all their guys, rolled into Tampa, and that was a game. It wasn't like that was a blowout.
Definitely
a game.
They were driving
they had their shot. And then obviously the Niners, the Seahawks, and the Rams are all sitting at 4-2 in the NFC West. All right. There's a team that I think absolutely belongs in these rankings that's nowhere near these rankings.
Oh, I can't wait to hear this, Larry.
And I would say that team is the Atlanta Falcons, who's up next.
So you did okay. I want to have this conversation. I was most excited to talk to you today about this because anyone who has said that the Falcons' moment is about to arrive, you'd have to say that it happened last night. You'd have to say that Monday Night Football versus Bills is that moment. Penix played well at the end of last season, but after that Carolina 30-0, I don't know that there was any way to see the Falcons out of that hole, and it could have happened last night. And I guess that's who you put it on more. Is it that Buffalo didn't show up in some way, or is Atlanta really that good? Is that the Raheem Morris stamp on this team defensively? And are we going to see that out of Bijan moving forward?
I mean, they're a volatile team. They got a Michael Penix at quarterback, and they lost 30-0 to Carolina a few weeks ago. So I mean, they're a volatile team. But let me make my argument here. Jeff Ulbrich is one of the best defensive minds in the game. Let's
remind everyone where we saw Ulbrich last. So unfortunately, the last taste in your mouth from Ulbrich is he took over for Saleh with the Jets last season when Saleh was fired. And so it didn't terrible. Right, it didn't go very well. But what his specialty is, much like Saleh, much like it didn't go amazing for Saleh as the head coach of the Jets, but he's a tremendous defensive mind. With Ulbrich, I think you can walk down that path also.
Let's talk about the Falcons, though. I mean, and Ulbrich had his kid talk trash to some, or played some game on draft day with somebody.
Shador, no, his kid is the one who made the prank call to Shador where he pretended to be the Saints drafting him. Right. That's Ulbrich's kid.
I mean, everybody, oh my God, you would have thought, somebody was murdered. It's like, does nobody have a sense of humor anymore at all? I mean,
pretty
God. I mean, in the old days, we would have laughed at that and been like, Ulbrich and his kid, man. What kid? Now it's like everything's like, oh my God, that was a hate crime against Sanders and blah, blah. It's just, this world we're in. Anyway, Ulbrich, one of the best defensive minds. If you look at the Falcons, they rank first in rushing with Bijan Robinson. They're good in total defense. They're second in total offense. And you look at Penix Jr. I mean, he's got a great arm, and you saw what he did with Drake London last night. 10 catches for 158 yards and a touchdown.
And by the way, half a foot from that being 2 touchdowns. Remember?
Yeah,
end of the half.
London's a premier receiver. Bijan's a premier running back, one of the greatest athletes in the league today. 238 yards and a touchdown. He's been going crazy.
That was his best game ever, but it was special to watch. The run he had was at 80 yards down the sideline where he broke a tackle on the way. I mean, that's what they thought when they were drafting him in the top 10.
But the Falcons are top 2 in both offensive yards per game and defensive yards per game allowed. So that means they're good.
It's a good metric. That's a good. That's one of those balanced metrics.
Yeah, I mean, top 2 in offensive and defensive yards per game. They haven't allowed a 200-yard quarterback all year. They haven't allowed a 100-yard running back or a 100-yard receiver all year. They've got the best running back going right now in Bijan. They got a true number 1 receiver in London. And they're kind of banged up. I mean, they're banged up themselves. They got 14 sacks. It's their most through 5 games of a season since 2005.
That's
so,
okay.
I mean, it's their best pass rush in 20 years.
Well, Larry, wait, before you go on. So remember this. The Falcons, they were bottom 2 or 3 in that department last season. And remember draft day. You and I spoke after the draft. And remember, I said something pretty simple. If you're a team, if I'm stacking what you did throughout the entire weekend of the draft, if you got 2 first-round draft picks, it's impossible not to grade you. But you basically start at an A-, right? If you got 2 first-round draft picks, and the Falcons didn't just get 2 first-round draft picks, they identified the same weakness with those first 2 picks in the draft. It was
high risk, and they gave up next year's number 1.
Right. That's a ballsy move, though, to say that we're so bad in this department getting after the quarterback. We don't want one player that's going to help us there. We're coming back into the second round to get another. That was a really special move. Far, that's trending.
It's worked. They pressured Josh Allen last night 44% of the time. They held the Bills to 14 points. They held Buffalo, who Josh Allen's probably the best quarterback on third down in football. Buffalo went 2 for 9 on third down conversions. Raheem Morris is a really good coach. There's no question about that. I just think that they're, the Bijan's a star, and it's a decent offensive line, and they've built up their defensive line, and it's a good team. I mean, they're a really underrated good football team. I think they got a great chance to beat the 49ers this week, and I love a lot of what they've done. I mean, I was the guy banging the table saying the Niners ought to go for Rook or Roro.
Yeah.
2 drafts ago, and now he's doing nice things. You got Onyemata, Zach Harrison, Brandon Dorlus, Leonard Floyd, James Pierce, Jalen Walker. I mean, they got a bunch of guys. They got a bunch of Arnold Ebiketie, D'Angelo Malone. I mean, they've got a pretty athletic. Then they drafted 2 really good safeties in Xavier Watts and Billy Bowman. Bowman's hurt now, but Watts is their starter at free safety. They signed Jesse Bates away from Cincinnati. He's a terrific safety coverage player. So, I mean, they've got the makings of a pretty good all-around team. Now, it's a lot on Penix. It's Terry Fontenot's the GM, Raheem Morris the head coach, Ulbricht's the DC, Zach Robinson's the OC. But I think Atlanta's coming, man. And if Penix can, and I don't know, I'm a big Penix fan, but he's it's a week-to-week thing with him. He's got an unbelievable left arm. It's probably one of the greatest arms ever. I mean, it's like a Flacco, Terry Bradshaw type arm. I mean, this guy can really sling it.
Tua has taken so much of my confidence away from left-handed throwers in this league. To me, it's Steve Young and nobody else. I don't know why. I cannot wrap my watching Tua. Everything about Tua looks like he's got to adjust his entire body to make any throw, whether he's pressured on it, no matter what side of the field. For some reason, everything Tua does looks just heavy And so like he's got to think through all of it. And so I see a little of that in Penix. I don't know what. It's just something about watching Tua's mechanics as a lefty makes me hate every quarterback that's now left-handed. And I understand Penix is playing better than Tua right now, but I just can't get it out of my head. I just can't. I see Penix and there's just like these Tua flashes that come in, and I think there's something about being left-handed at quarterback that feels like a deficit. I don't know what deficiency. I don't know what that is it's probably just in my mind because Tua is that bad. He is that bad right now. And I just see that in Penix.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that that Tua is not a great quarterback. I'm not a believer in Tua.
But you believed in Penix, but you have been pounding the table on Penix for a while, and I would say last season felt like close. I mean, again, you remember that Sunday night game against Jaden Daniels in Washington. Had they lost that game in overtime, had they won that game, they would have been in contention for the division. They were technically in contention the last day of the season, but they need a lot to happen. They would have been in the driver's seat for the division had they won that game, and that would have been a lot on Penix. And now this season, it looks, I mean, I'm not going to say it's winnable. They won 2 games against Tampa last season, sorry. They won the 2 against Atlanta. And already this season, they don't have that feather in their cap. So, but that was Younghoe Koo largely, right? I mean, that was Koo's last kick as a Falcon was missing to tie that game against Tampa this season. So maybe they are going to be that competitive and they can steal that division. Totally different story.
Yeah, no question. So give me your top 5. Give me your top 5.
So I'm gonna try to be measured here. And I'm going to stick with the idea that if I had $100, I'd feel most confident still. If I had a future for winning the Super Bowl, I'd want Buffalo and Philadelphia, and right behind that, Detroit. So I'm going to say that my stack is still, how about this? Crazy as it might be coming off their terrible game. Yeah, Buffalo at 1, Detroit at 2, Philly at 3. I'll give Tampa 4, Kansas City 5. How about that? If I was really trying to, I'm thinking about it from a betting perspective. Like, where would I really be confident? So I'm not trying to dissect in this moment, like week 6, who's best. I don't necessarily care as much about that. If I'm projecting, I'm confident in the following teams. And I actually think Lamar Jackson and the Ravens could still be heard from. But if I'm confident spending money, looking at the schedule and looking at what's already happened and what could happen from a health standpoint, that's it for me. I'm going to go 1 Buffalo, 2 Detroit, 3 Philly, 4 Tampa, 5 Kansas City.
Okay. We're different on this for sure.
Okay.
I'm going to go 1 Detroit. Okay. I know they just lost to Kansas City, but I'm going to go 1 Detroit. If Goff stays healthy, I like them offensively. I like them defensively. I like Detroit. So I'm going to go Detroit number 1. I think I'm going to go with Tampa number 2, just because once again, bowls and, right now they're 5-1.
Yeah.
But they're doing it without Evans and Godwin, and they beat the Niners without Egbuka in the second half.
And Bucky Irving. Bucky
Irving. Yeah. These guys are all coming back.
Yeah.
And Bowles is still going to be Bowles. And a lot of what they do defensively that makes them special, I think, is scheme.
Yeah.
And he's really good at fooling quarterbacks. He fooled Mac Jones on the 3rd play of the game into an interception. I mean, Bourne said it was his fault, but there was it was one look pre-snap. It was a different look post-snap. And when you're doing a ton of quick game stuff and trying to throw with anticipation, get the ball out quick, you can get the ball out quick right into a turnover, and that's what happened. So I'll take Detroit 1, Tampa 2. I really think the NFC is the better team,
right now. Yes,
I really do. I'll put the Eagles 3, but I don't feel good about it.
Okay, so we both had that.
I like the Rams 4.
Interesting.
And because I think their offense and defense, once it gets cooking, they've got that. And I'm going to put the Falcons 5.
Wow.
The Falcons. I mean, let me share the screen on this.
Yeah, I'm interested.
This is pretty much the bottom line as far as I'm concerned, because you can look at the record, but you can't look at the record really, because the record it's flawed. It's like, the Niners are 4-2. Are they one of the best teams? No, but they're 4-2. So it's a who you play and that kind of thing. All right, here's the statistical breakdown of the Niners and the Falcons. Look at the Falcons. They're second in total offense, number 1 in rush offense, top 12 in pass offense.
Get my glasses for this, Larry. This is good.
They're second in the NFL in time of possession. They're number 1 in total defense. It's a passing league. They're number 1 in pass defense. So I like them.
Yeah, they're pretty balanced running the ball. The Algier thing is nice.
I like the Falcons. I like Penix to continue to improve. I think these NFC contenders are going to look worse and worse and worse and worse.
Someone has to release.
I like the Falcons. And if I was going with a 6 team, I'd go with Denver. I know Denver just barely beat the Jets.
That's all right.
But
London.
They've got Sean Payton, Bo Nix on offense, and the best defense. The Broncos defense leads the league in sacks. They have 30 sacks. They lead the league in defensive expected points added. They lead the league in opposing QBR. Surtain is a dominant takeaway corner. Nick Bonito might be the defensive player of the year in the league. He's got 7 sacks. They pressure you all the way across their defensive line. They've got the best corner depth in football. They can play anything. They can play nickel. They can play dime. They've got some issues on offense. It's not an overwhelming offense, but if you told me that we got a Denver-Atlanta Super Bowl, I wouldn't sit there and go, what?
Rematch. Larry, rematch, right?
I know that would be a rematch, and I wouldn't be shocked by that. The Falcons are to me. I would rather look at what you've done inside your profile more so than your record.
Yeah, the opponent. It's tough. I come from this sort of college football mentality when I look at I'm always rating who your opponent is to try to determine what you've done, and I kind of stack best win and best loss. And so my issue with Atlanta is predicated on that exact theory. I need someone to release the term paper on what happened in that Carolina game. 30-0 is just such a stain that I just can't get out of my own way when I try to determine where this team slots, because I saw that. I watched that game. That definitively happened. Carolina was better in every sense on every play. Penix was that bad also. And there was just again, what do you do right in a 30-0 game? Very little.
First of all, if we go back to that game, I'm looking at the box score. The Falcons had more first downs in that game than Carolina. They had 17-15. Okay. The Falcons went for it 3 times on 4th down and didn't get any of the 3. That was a big part of it.
Sure.
The Falcons had 332 yards to 224.
Oof.
How about that? What is it? They were -2 in turnovers. That's it. You can't.
Pick 6. Yeah, one of them pick 6.
And they didn't get in the red zone.
Which says a lot about your offense.
But the Falcons ran for almost 6 yards a carry in that game, but they were -2 in turnovers, and they went for it 3 times on 4th down and didn't get it. That's it right there.
Yeah,
they probably took some chances they shouldn't have taken.
And maybe again, a lot of teams take those the major learning.
And a division game too. It's a division.
Of course, divisional. I just said it. Almost anything goes in a divisional game, and that was certainly that. And if I remember correctly, that game was in Carolina, so road divisional game. Yes, it's just hard for me to say that team is at that level. And then again, on the same token, if Tampa's going to be in our power rankings where they are, Atlanta went toe for toe with Tampa, and they've done it they did it last season, and they did it this season. So. And I believe one of those was the Cousins 500-yard game last season, and the other one I believe was a Penix win against Tampa. So Atlanta is at least Atlanta to me is only for real within this division. They're not for real within the conference.
I think you win in the NFL when you have stars, and they've got a lot of good. They have a lot of good stars. Bijan Robinson's a star, man.
London's a star. Bijan's a star. I can't say that about Penix, and I would say the 2 first-round draft picks have a chance to be stars on that line, and they're allowing other players on the line to make plays. The final play of that game against Josh Allen was a defensive line play. Really, it turns out as an interception, but that was Josh Allen being chased down on a scramble and the ball tipped. So that was a defensive line play for sure.
That's an interesting team, though, because, I mean, Penix is their long-term meal ticket for sure, but he's also a little bit inconsistent. But they also have Kirk Cousins sitting there.
It's not bad.
And they have the number one rushing attack and a really good defense with a lot of rush up front. So I'm just saying the Falcons are a team to watch. They are a team absolutely to watch.
You've been on that. I'm going to stick with my 5. I feel like my 5 are steady. I know that what you would say about my 5 is they have a little of last season lingering, right? My top 5, I can't get out of my head. Buffalo, Kansas City, Detroit, Philadelphia, and those are sort of last season stories more than this week 6. But I've got Tampa in there too as part of the conversation. Yeah. They're better than they were last season, and they were in the conversation last season.
You know, the playoffs in the AFC probably are going to include what? Patriots, Buffalo. I mean, right now it looks like Patriots, Buffalo, Steelers, Colts, Jaguars, Chargers. How many playoff teams? 6?
Yeah, but you didn't include the Broncos right there, did you? I think that would be. I think you had 6, so you can give
those
the Broncos
7 teams and Kansas City. Those 8 teams competing for what? 6 spots? Is it 6?
No. So there's 7 now.
7. So you got those 8 teams competing for 7. Chiefs, Broncos, Chargers, Jags, Colts, Steelers, Patriots, Bills. Somebody's going to get.
So you could lose. I think you're going to lose one of Steelers or Patriots. That's how it looks.
Well, the only thing is somebody's got to win that division.
Yeah, true. You're right. So that would mean I would have to let Baltimore. Yeah, you're right. I have to let Baltimore at that point. I do think
Baltimore's 1-5.
I understand that they're going to win that division.
Are you serious?
Baltimore's going to win that division. Baltimore's going to win that division.
Really?
Baltimore's going to win that division.
Wow.
They're the best team in the division. If I had to put money on it, I should put money on it right now, right? It's the best bet I can get. I should put money on it right now. I mean, Baltimore's going to win that division.
They're 0.
I mean, unless you and I don't know something about Lamar Jackson.
50. They're minus 50 in point differential.
It's not. Look, that's not great, but that's also not insurmountable. Baltimore, the Cooper Rush thing. If they had gone to Huntley, I also think they'd have another win. The Cooper Rush thing is just brutal, and I don't understand what the belief in Cooper Rush is. Then again, early in his career, he beat everybody but the Eagles, so I have it in my mind. I've seen him play against the Eagles, and he's never played against the Eagles well. So I just don't. The Cooper Rush thing didn't make sense, and Huntley just feels like such a better backup to what you run, the system that you have with Lamar Jackson. So I don't understand Cooper Rush there at all.
They signed him to a 2-year, $6.2 million deal with $4 million guaranteed.
Why?
Baltimore is 0-2 and has produced a total of 13 points without Lamar this season.
Disgusting. So there you go. So I'm gonna.
Cooper Rush went 9-5 as the backup in Dallas.
Fine, but look at the games that he won.
But he's got no touchdowns and 4 picks with Baltimore.
It's that sunk this opportunity early in the season. But if you look at the rest of their schedule, they are going to have an opportunity to play a factor in this division, and I will put my money. In fact, again, I'm going to make that bet.
Wow,
Ravens are going to win the division. I'm making that bet. It's not a worse time for me to do it.
You know where they sit on the ESPN power rankings? 24th.
That's wild.
24th between the New York Giants and the Arizona Cardinals.
That's irresponsible. Ravens are going to play a factor. Right now, again, if Lamar were okay, so let's say this much, Larry. The Ravens will play the Steelers after the bye week. So they have another game, then they have a bye week. So Lamar's going to take these 2 weeks off, and they're going to play the Steelers at some point with Lamar. Who do you have in that game? Steelers, Ravens with a healthy Lamar. Who do you think wins that game?
I don't like the Steelers.
Right.
I don't think the Steelers are
exactly.
Yeah. So
and you don't like the Browns and you don't like the Bengals without Burrow, right? Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So somebody's got to win the division.
Yeah.
But I think it'll probably be the Steelers.
Ravens are going to win that division.
We'll see on that one. But I'm telling you, watch out for the Falcons. Watch out.
I love that. I love that take. I love that. And not a lot of people are saying that. I mean, I understand after last night, I want to remind everyone, Larry has said this. We did on draft day. You said this. So you've been on, we dissected. In fact, we went through all of the preseason odds for who could win the division, and we tried to talk ourselves into someone who didn't win the division the season before, and you were highest on Atlanta taking that division from Tampa.
Yeah, I do like what they're doing in Atlanta. And I'll say this too. I think if you're gonna really project teams, you got to also check out. I know people would say, "Oh, come on, your backup quarterback means nothing," But this is a violent league.
Yeah.
And you need to have a backup quarterback. If nothing else, then you may need your backup quarterback to win 4 or 5 games to get you into the playoffs.
If the Niners win that division,
I don't
Mac
think the
Jones
Ravens are going to the playoffs because I don't think Cooper Rush is good enough as a backup quarterback.
That sunk what they had an opportunity to do in the first half of the season, basically.
My only question with the Falcons is the offensive line, and their offensive line used to be pretty good, but they lost Dahlman in free agency. Jake Matthews is a little bit banged up. They lost Caleb McGarry, their right tackle. They've got Elijah Wilkinson starting at right tackle. McGarry's on IR. So but
they're doing something right on that offensive line because the run game, as you said, is just special right now.
Yeah, and those weapons, Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Bijan Robinson.
And by the way, as good as they were last night, Pitts fell on what would have been a great screenplay that would have picked up 15 yards likely. He just slipped after he caught the ball. And Drake London, remember, that's another 7 points. Drake London steps out of bounds 1 step before he's in the end zone to end halftime. So that could have been a totally different game on 2 very, very makeable plays.
And they've got some really good players too on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, some really good young players too. So the stats show if you're looking for record, but if you're looking for statistical breakdown, the Falcons are right there.
I think you should put out. By the way, talk to Kevin, Larry. If you don't have it out, if you have the Falcons in your top 5 right now, you should put out a power rankings of just 5,
and put the Falcons in there at 5.
I just don't think anyone has them at 5 right now. You'd be the only guy.
Falcons being glazed. I love it.
No, you should.
They're good.
No,
you're going to be glazing them on Sunday.
Yeah. Well, we haven't even said it, right? I said that Tampa was the barometer for the Niners, but we get to see Niners Falcons this weekend. So that's going to tell you something right there.
Sunday Night Football.
Sunday Night Football is Penix again, and Mac's going to play, right? I don't think Brock's trending in any direction yet.
I think
Kittle's the one that I think is closer to playing, right? Kittle may play.
Try to play.
Yeah.
Last question before we get out of here.
Yeah.
And we have. Let me just hit these supers and we'll get out of here. These quick ones. Did Jen? Let's be real. It's Chiefs Packers for the Super Bowl. All right. Purdy Good says NFL wanted parity. They got it. No elite teams this year. Make the dance, and any one of the 14 teams can win the Super Bowl. I kind of agree with that. I think he's
it happened in the NBA. The NBA felt untouchable, right? Nobody thought OKC could do it in the playoffs, and it happened. So
did Jen Peters drafted Lance Kinlaw and Drake Jackson? Oh, good reason. Good thing that he's gone. Silence's trade for A. Brewer from Miami. Fix the offensive line because we're going to have to win shootouts. No replacing Bosa. Upgrade the offensive line for ball control. I agree, but I wouldn't necessarily go for Brewer. I like Kevin Zeitler. Zeitler's been really, really good. I mean, if you look at Kevin Zeitler, I was looking at some of his numbers. They're saying he might get traded. When he was with the Ravens in 2023, he was the second best pass blocking guard in football. In 2022, he was number 4. In 2021, he was 4. And he's durable, 15 plus starts for like 10 straight years. So I'm a big Zeitler fan. He's in Tennessee. If I were the Niners, that's who I would try to get at the trade.
By the way, speaking of Miami, I'll say it again because I said it to you a couple of weeks ago, but I still think Chubb with the Dolphins is the player the Niners need. I think
he's a good edge rusher. I mean, they also have Jalen Phillips. To me, I mean, I would love it if the Niners could get Kevin Zeitler and Jeffrey Simmons. I mean, obviously Simmons isn't a major get, but I would be willing to trade high picks if I could get Jeffrey Simmons because I think he's that kind of a difference maker. And what are the Niners going to do with those picks? They blow their picks a lot. Joseph Ehrenberg, it's 0-3 next 3 games. If 0-3 the next 3 games, is it fire sale time? Hi, Sam.
Wow. Ehrenberg.
What do you think? If the Niners lose all the games between now and the trade deadline,
okay, let's take a look.
Do they?
No, let's do this.
Selling team.
Let's do this scientifically. So you lose to the Falcons, at the Texans, and at the New York Giants, which, I mean, certainly when the schedule came out, New
York Giants D-line is going to be way challenging.
Okay, so remember, that would be 4 losses overall because Tampa, right? So that would be 4 losses overall. And then you've got the Rams. So you're saying they're going to lose 3 in a row and then beat the Rams at home? I mean, again, Larry, how about this? Ehrenberg, I would wait until after the Rams game because the Rams game could save your season, right? You could lose those 3 games and then beat the Rams, and then you're in contention still because you'd have a sweep against the Rams.
To me, it's also not just win or lose. It's what do you look like?
Of course. And again, who's lost for the season at this point? I mean, that unfortunately we have to say that because it's been that ugly.
And can you run the ball? I mean, you can't do anything if you can't run the ball. Joseph Ermbrich says the Giants interested in JJ. Do we trade him? Heck yeah.
You're fine with anybody going. Yeah,
are you
exactly.
kidding me?
Who wants JJ?
Jawan Jennings is
He's irrelevant.
Talented player.
No, he's irrelevant right now. He's irrelevant right now. He's irrelevant right now.
Well, not just irrelevant. I mean, he's for what he does. He's not worth a big money contract. And if the Giants want him and they want to give you something for him, damn right, I would take that. I mean, Kendrick Bourne stepped off the street and in the last 2 games has done more than anybody, really. Yeah. I mean, Kendrick Bourne, I don't know if you saw this. This was an amazing revelation this weekend. Kendrick Bourne, let me see if I have this in front of me.
What do you go for 142 Sunday, right? After his best
went for 142 on Sunday. He's been really, really good. I mean, it's almost crazy how good Kendrick Bourne has been. He has back-to-back 130 plus receiving yard games. In his previous, wait for it, 8 NFL seasons, he didn't have a single game over 100 receiving yards in his entire career. And now the last 2 weeks, he's been awesome. And by the way, he is on the Krug Show fantasy team now because
that's great.
I trashed him, but then I was like, you know what? I got to get this guy. Sure enough,
Smart move. That's a great waiver wire pickup. That's solid work out of you. But Bourne, and we should have put that together. We like placing guys, with like the Mac Jones Bourne connection. We should have been ahead of that curve.
Yeah. Sammy, good stuff, man. Tell people about your podcast. Tell people about what you're doing. I know you've already kind of told them about ESPN LA, but tell them about your podcast.
I will. At Thinking Out Loud, Siciliano and Sam. That's where you can catch the content that Andrew and I do. Andrew Siciliano, who you knew from Red Zone, and you knew from NFL Network, and now is the voice of the Cleveland Browns. His team he grew up rooting for his entire life. He's from DC, but his dad's from Cleveland. He's been a Browns fan his whole life. Play-by-play voice of the Browns, and good for Andrew. And Andrew and I have plenty of content there, and we do a podcast, Thinking Out Loud. At Thinking Out Loud, Siciliano and Sam is where you catch us on YouTube. And we love doing this with Krug Show. What a channel you've built, Larry. And we love talking Niners and the whole league with you.
Well, my final big finish point of the day is brought to you by Habas Law. 1-800-INJURED. They will fight to make it right. Today's show is sponsored by Habas Law. For more than 40 years, Omar Habas and his son Tarek have been standing up for people in Northern California. They're fierce. They're relentless PI attorneys. They don't back down until justice is done. So when you get hurt, insurance companies try to figure out a way not to pay you, and Habas Law doesn't let them do it because they know the playbook. They've been battling and beating insurance companies for decades. So they're partnered with the San Francisco Giants, the Earthquakes, the Sharks, San Jose State, Santa Clara. They're very rooted here in Northern California. So if you need someone in your corner, call the law firm the insurance companies hope you never call, and that's Habas Law. They will fight to make it right. Visit them on the web at habaslaw.com, HABBAS law.com, 1-800-INJURED. I will finish on this note. Happy birthday to the great one, Jerry Rice.
Oh, that's great. That is great.
Jerry Rice.
Pretty exciting.
I can remember, it's funny, I can remember this day. There's certain days in your life you just remember very clearly. And sometimes it's a big day, like your wedding day, the day your first child was born, or any, there's a lot of days, maybe the passing of a parent, is not a great day, but it's a memorable day. And then there's days that don't have that kind of meaning, but they have kind of like, they're memorable because of something fun or something that you remember seeing or watching or doing. I'll never forget Christmas Day, 1984. I was 14 years old. I used to get up early back in the day, and I got up real early because I used to my family's a Christmas Eve family, right?
Oh yeah.
So we open gifts on Christmas Eve, whatever. So we didn't have a Christmas morning tradition other than we kind of slept in and then we had people come over, but it wasn't Christmas morning, like early Christmas morning get up. That was not our routine. We were a Christmas Eve family. So everybody's sleeping and it's 8 a.m. And I used to get up because I was a diehard football fan then, of course. And I wanted to watch the Blue-Gray game. So I watched the Blue-Gray game in 1984, laying there on the couch in my family room, all curled up in a ball, looking at my Christmas presents. And I'm sitting there watching this game, and Jerry Rice was dominating. so dominating. It was like, I was 14. I wasn't really even paying attention. I was like, who is this guy? Jerry Rice, unbelievable. And so Christmas Day, my dad tells the story about how I woke up on Christmas Day talking about Jerry Rice. Oh my God, Jerry Rice, Dad, Jerry Rice. My dad was like, who the heck is Jerry Rice? So now fast forward to April 85. I'm a freshman in high school. I'm sitting at the breakfast table, eating my breakfast cereal. The NFL draft was a conference call on a Monday morning. Yep. You can believe it, back in the day.
Amazing.
Conference call. My dad is shaving upstairs, getting ready to go to work. And he knows I'm a diehard Niner fan. So he goes, hey, Lar, the Niners are about to draft. Right. And all I yelled was, I hope they get Jerry Rice. That's all I said, right? My dad comes downstairs, shaving cream all over his face, undershirt. My dad used to wear the V-neck undershirt, V-neck white undershirt, and in his tighty whities. I'm like, Dad, easy.
That's all right. Big moment. Right?
Yeah. He comes downstairs. He's got my dad never went anywhere with shaving cream on his face. He's standing in the dining room wearing full face of shaving cream. And he's like, what did you say? And I said, I hope they get Jerry Rice. He's like, that's who they drafted. They traded up and they drafted Jerry Rice. So now, he's telling my mom, he's like, Carol, he's like, Larry just predicted who the Niners were going to draft. I told him they were going to draft. He said, they hope they draft Jerry Rice. They drafted Jerry Rice. Anyway, it was this funny moment. And then it meant nothing because it meant nothing until Jerry Rice became Jerry Rice.
Until it did, Larry.
And my dad used to tell that story for years after that. He's like, my 14-year-old knew that Jerry Rice was going to be great on draft day.
It's pretty awesome.
And that's one of the memories that I have very clearly of. That's who they took, and my dad was amazed because there was no
mock draft. There was not like a mock draft community back then. Yeah,
there was no mock draft. There was no path to the draft. There was no Kuiper. There was no nothing. I mean, Kuiper might have been there, but there was nothing.
Sure. But Larry, that is a special one. That is, I have nothing to top that. Congrats. Happy birthday to Jerry Rice. What a call by you. But happy birthday to Jim Rome also today, by the way, October 14.
Jim Rome.
Yep. Happy birthday to Rome.
Okay. Last one, boxing fan. What potential late-round quarterback do you think the 49ers should target if Mac is traded after this season? Ooh. Late-round quarterback.
Do you still like Cal's quarterback? He's not going to come out, probably.
He's not coming out.
Yeah.
I do like Cal's quarterback, but he's really
he's raw, but
he's really raw. As far as quarterbacks in this draft, first of all, after watching the reclamation quarterback, I would say I like the reclamation quarterback idea more than Fernando Mendoza, Dante Moore, Lenora Sellers. I would say if there's a quarterback that I would take a shot on based on what I've seen, if Carson Beck was there in like the second round from Miami, I'm interested in him. I really love Lenora Sellers from South Carolina. He's got one of the greatest arms I've ever seen. He throws 45-yard lasers that never get over 6 feet off the ground. So it's not a great quarterback draft, but those are the two guys that I have my eye on right now: Carson Beck and Lenora Sellers. Sellers is going to go in the top 10, and Beck's probably going to go in the second round. But I would, they have Mac Jones under contract, so he ain't going anywhere unless they want him to go somewhere. Anyway, that's going to do it for us. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle. Thanks to Sleeper. Thanks to, of course, Habas Law and Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles, Clawdaddy Arcades. The links are in the description for all of the sponsors. Sammy, we will catch you next week for another edition of this. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks to everybody. Sammy, I'll give you the final word.
Larry is going to put out his power rankings. The Falcons. Remember where you heard it. The Falcons are top 5.
Falcons are top 5. Look for it.
Yeah, never met a man I've been